Just a short video to show you manage back from the point of view of a tutor. So first of all, log in, obviously, wellingtoncollege.manageback.com. And you will have already set it up, I hope. If you haven't, just email Rebecca. I click this one, remember me for 30 days, and then sign in. And it will arrive on your launch page, which sometimes looks like this, sometimes looks like this, and if in doubt, just click on Wellington College. And it's a launch pad that tells you what's going on only today, a little bit of CAS, which is what we're interested in, and many other things you may look at, like classes when you come to do your IAs. But you go to CAS, and you might be in 2 year groups. Choose your year group. Make sure CAS was selected there, because you can look at TOK exhibition, which we're launching for lower sixth soon. Okay. So you will see your tutees. Have a look at mine. They're rather a typical bunch, that some of them are doing really well and some of them have not done a single thing. And I've really got to get on those two. They certainly do CAS, but they have not recorded it. So this week is it's my mission to sort that out. Also noticed I haven't done any CAS interviews. This is lower sixth. They are overdue. I'm going to do them this week. They don't take long. We'll talk about that in a minute. Notice the difference between Arda and Yian. They've both done 5 bits of CAS, but Arda has done 18 reflections on it and Yian has done none. Yian is a typical student in some way, that she's very, very musical. And that means that she can feel creative time and time and time again, but there's no need to, and that creates imbalance anyway. Her challenge to her in CAS is to make sure she's doing service and activity. So let's go to our example student. A student who hasn't got it totally right. They've put their aims and goals in. You can have a read of that. And they've got 10 experiences, completely unnecessary. You only need 2C, 2A, and 2S. And a CAS project, which we'll talk about in a minute. So we've got a service here, a creative, an activity, great so far, grade 6 cello creative, another activity, a service, another, no need. You want 2 good ones of each. Good meaning challenging. You can't just rock up at badminton on a Tuesday and say that's activity. There has to be a real element of challenge to it. And of course it must be CAS. Some students will do service and take it to mean just simply raising money. Calling your dad, getting £1,000 quid, giving it. No, it has to be reciprocal. You have to do something with the community. It's not just simply raising money. And sometimes students say, well, I'm in the Economic Society. Well, that's not CAS at all. It's got to be specifically creative, activity, and service. So let's pick one. She volunteered at the food bank, this fictitious Becky. Notice it has been approved, it's completed. That's all done automatically. The student just needs to put things in. So this is volunteering at the food bank. It's service. The way that Becky filled this in is totally straightforward. She clicks a few buttons to say that it's service, that it's ongoing, that it's community-based, this sort of thing. It's all fairly straightforward. She writes what it is, a description, what you're trying to do, and she chooses some learning outcomes, saying what sort of CAS is this? She needs to show commitment and perseverance, for example, and it's recognizing, considering ethics. Not all CAS does that. So the student clicks those, and then you have to reflect on how these have gone over the months that you do it. And that is in reflections. And this is where one of my students hadn't done any reflections and the other one had done lots. The student needs to keep coming back to this CAS entry every couple of weeks or every 3 weeks and just adding a reflection about how it's going. And those reflections should be on the learning outcomes. So this student has put in several things, and this is Marcus Rashford. This is just because I use this to demonstrate, and so does Rebecca. So lots of reflections. This is evidence here. We must see a photo or a screenshot of an email to show that you've evidence that you actually did it. Going back to the main screen, I'm going to do it by clicking on CAS. And now these interviews have to be done. Lower sixth is a launching CAS interview. How have you got going? Have you put on several entries? Have you done some reflections? Do you understand CAS? If you don't understand CAS, we have CAS drop-ins, which the students can see on their calendar. You can always, as a tutor, just ask to meet Rebecca, who can take you through it. Lots of tutors have done this. There's tons and tons of support. There's no excuse. A student saying, I just don't understand, is no excuse. So I'm going to do my interviews. If I go to Becky Viking, notes and interviews, and I just simply type here, I record it as interview 1. So I type interview 1 there, and I'll just start typing 5 or 6 lines, just going through the C, A, and S. Have they started each one of those? If they haven't, no problem. If they've done a lot of creative, a lot of action, but there's not much service in there, then why not? What's the plan for that? Because you have to do 2 different challenging things in each one. Keep that balance. And lastly, for lower sixth, they should be starting to plan a CAS project, which is a group of IB students, a group of students that don't have to be IB, obviously your tutee will be, and they must lead it themselves. It's not done by a teacher. It must last approximately a month or more, and then be in creative or action or service. And there's lots of options, but they can't leave that. You've got to think about it. It takes much more planning than normal CAS. For upper sixth tutors, the final interview, interview 3, is just checking they've done everything. Is every CAS activity got 3 or more reflections? Is there some evidence for each one? Is that balance? Have they done a CAS project which requires more evidence and much more reflection? We'll send a note about exactly how you should reflect on the CAS project. If you want more information, then just go to the lower sixth CAS and you'll see other buttons. One of them is files, and there's lots of information here, videos, PowerPoints. We're going to add there these short CAS videos, so you can really learn more. Thank you very much for helping us with CAS.